And good afternoon, everybody. Welcome into another edition of the Hockey Night on Board Day Edition Flyers pregame show. Today, the Philadelphia Flyers take on the Buffalo Sabres as they meet up for the third and final time this season, and it's in South Philadelphia at Wells Fargo Center. And a pleasant good afternoon, everybody. I'm your host, James Scorza, with you for the next 15 minutes or so. As for the Philadelphia Flyers, it was it was probably one of the performances I can actually could say that it was not a bad game for the Orange and Black, obviously, if you think about what happened in the game. Excuse me a sec. I just got to do this real quick because we were still talking about torts on. Sorry. All right. Okay. Sorry about that. No, we were just talking. I forgot to change the template on the show on excuse me on for this topic sheet. But like I said, for the Flyers, it was a good matchup on Thursday night, like I was mentioning, against Montreal. It started out early, quick. I mean, we were basically still nesting and thinking like basically still talking about the Phillies opening day, like especially what happened on opening day for the Phillies. But then I guess we could just go in the recap of the previous game because, like I said, it was opening day for the Phillies, obviously. And right when the Phillies won their game against Washington on Thursday, it only took the Flyers only just like less than a minute in to get the Flyers onto the board and make it a 1-0 lead. This was probably one of the first times I've seen in a while that it was a very good effort by the Orange and Black. It was a very good precise thing here for the Orange and Black to get back on track after losing their head coach at the beginning of the day, obviously, and that's the most important thing too, is that whatever happened with the Flyers on that day was basically the one thing I was like really good. I was good to hear that the Flyers especially looked like it's been a while since the Flyers played a very good solid effort of 60 minutes of complete hockey, but that was basically the case. Flyers got another goal by Nick Delorier to make it 2-0 for the Orange and Black. I think the other thing too is, as we talk about this recap, I mean, I'm not gonna recap every goal because there was a lot of like goals to recap here, but I would do that, but I think it's safe to say, I mean, if this was a game that meant something, maybe I'll be starting to do more of a recap of these games. But like I said, it was a solid effort for the Orange and Black. I thought it was a very because usually when there's a new coach after a new guy gets fired, when the old guy or an old coach gets fired, it basically changes the momentum of the game. Obviously, you want to try to play better a little bit more. You want to play a little bit better to competition because obviously you're thinking like, oh crap, my job's on the line next, and you think about the circumstance that the Flyers had this coming day on exactly 12 hours before they came onto the ice. They were letting go of John Tortorella, their head coach, in the process, and then replacing him with Brad Shaw. But it was a very good effort. I think the one thing I was really happy to see more than anything, I thought the one thing that really stuck out to me was really the positive I took out of it was just that, yeah, the thing that I found I was like reading the tea leaves about what the Tortorella situation and thinking about, okay, why did he decide to get let go so soon, especially if they were so like high on him and also saying that he will stick around. But it looked like there was a report that happened out there, and it looked like there was a report that happened against Toronto on Tuesday night. So we're talking against the Maple Leafs, and they lost 7-2. And it looked to me like Cam York was the big storyline in that game. Well, it was a big storyline, but the difference was he wasn't a scorer or like had himself a game. He was basically just sitting on a bench. It looked to me that it was something that either Briere saw or Jonesy saw, or even like a lot of people did see, said that he got benched again. And then you think about it on Thursday night, you would have thought, okay, now since there's a new coach, you want to play a little bit more and more. But it looks to me I wouldn't say he was benched on the first game with Brad Shaw. I think he did. They just decide not to play him, I think. But the most important thing about it too is that maybe it was like something that like what happened with Cam York and John Tortorella like set the tone of him getting fired. I think that's the most important thing. But more importantly than anything like that, but the big story in this game as we get closer and closer to our key matchups in this game is that it looked to me Matvei Michkov came back to full force again on Thursday night against Montreal, who had 2 goals on the game, and he could have had his third towards the end of the game. And if you remember closely, Michkov had an opportunity to get a hat trick in the first couple periods up, but they gave the goal to somebody else. I don't know who they gave the goal to. Instead of getting 1 goal out of it, instead of getting 3 goals, he only got 2 out of it. But the Mitch Couturier, thank you. Sean Couturier was the guy that got credit for the got credit for the second goal that Michkov scored. So instead, he only got 3 goals. So he only had 2 goals instead of 3. The thing about it too was he had the opportunity towards the end of the game by getting his 3rd goal of the game, but it hit off the post. And I can imagine right now, like Brad Shaw was saying that at the end of the game too, that he was like, I was like saying, I wish he would have gone. Like, I mean, like his face expression when Michkov was like he was like annoyed that he didn't get that goal, and it felt like he was like really like desperately trying to get that hat trick. But the difference was it looked to me that probably today will be a good opportunity to get that hat trick, because sometimes Michkov, if something doesn't go right the first time, like try again. Like basically that's the thing that and that's the most important thing too, is that Michkov played a fantastic game on Thursday night. So that's something to keep a close eye on. And that's a recap of the previous game. Michkov and also some other play. I mean, Erson played good, but giving up 4 goals is something not to sneeze about too. But yeah, I mean, that's been a problem with Erson as lately. But let's get into our key matchups of the game before we go one step closer here. So the key matchups of this game here today, it's something that I didn't expect to happen in this game here today, but more importantly than anything like that, maybe the same thing that they had on Thursday, probably have the same momentum that they had on Thursday, have that same momentum coming into this game here today. So that's the most important thing. I think that's going to be the most important thing when the Flyers come back into reality today. I think that's going to be so that's going to be the thing that you got to keep a close eye on. So I don't know much about the Sabres. If they're like, for the Sabres is concerned, like I always talked about in my like previous shows and all that. I do know that they're having a real down year. I think they brought back Lindy Ruff, and he's not been playing to not coaches to the capability like he once did. Also, kind of feel like the Sabres are just trying to feel like they have like all this talent. I mean, they let go of Dylan Cousins during the trade deadline, and I think they got other talent in between to make it into something here. But the most important thing about it is that I think the other thing too is that yeah, I mean, this is probably one of the games that you say, okay, the Flyers will be the odds-on favorite of probably winning this game here today, because I try to do my research on the Sabres about, okay, who's going to be a key close eye on, who's going to be a big X factor. I mean, if this was like still Thomas Vanek or Jason Pominville or Brian Campbell, or the list goes on and on, maybe I'll be like, okay, now you got to keep a close eye on these guys. But even like a Danny Briere or a Chris Drury, like the list, or even Maxim Afanaganov, the list goes on and on. But different team, obviously different era, going to admit. So the Sabres haven't been relevant in a long time. So that's going to tell you all you need to know about how long the Sabres are going to get back to the relevancy like they once did. But maybe the one X factor in this game, I guess you could say, is just to keep maybe it's, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I would say trying to think about what to be a key matchup for this Sabres team. I mean, the Flyers are coming in like just trying to prove that their coach could stay around and could be a coach to build around in the future, for especially after Tortorella got let go on Thursday morning. But man, I want to be understandable about the Sabres, but sometimes when you don't have anything to say about the Sabres, you kind of just got to say, just dare I say, to trust the process for the Sabres, I guess. I mean, I'm not trying to sound like I'm being rude against the Sabres. I mean, I try to figure it out. Maybe one guy I'll keep a close eye on. Maybe Rasmus Dahlin, or probably the other guy, Tage Thompson. That's probably the other thing to keep a close eye on as we get closer and closer to puck drop here. So that's going to be the most important thing. Just keep a close eye on 72 and 26 and even Owen Power or whatever they have on that team that is effective. But like I said, there's no. I mean, even Lindy Ruff is the coach of this team. It's not the same Lindy Ruff team that we had back at when I was growing up, when years past when they were really dominant. But yeah, it's kind of weird to see not a lot of big X factors in this game for the Sabres. But I'm not trying to sound like I'm being like I don't. I mean, I wish the Flyers and Sabres will be in playoff contention to see what they look like in postseason contention. But it's like I said, it's been a long time since the Sabres have had some success here. So this is going to be probably one of the games I say, maybe this will be a game that the Flyers just win this game without a coincidence and try to figure out what they're going to be made of. But speaking of who's trending up and who's trending down on the things that, speaking of stuff that we have to talk about here, this is some of the stuff I try to talk about here and try to keep a close eye on what the Flyers need to do. So here's the thing I want to say who's trending up here. And I did see a lot of good poise of Travis Konecny on Thursday night against Montreal, so it was good to see him back rolling again after a very good game. For me, I would say I would hope to see him trend up a little bit, because you think about what happened in the last previous months, and you think about what happened in the last few months going back to that Four Nations face-off where he was just completely irrelevant in that game, and I guess they didn't even play him, or I guess they did play him, but they didn't. I guess they weren't I guess they were just trying to figure out how we could put him in the lineup and how we could put him how we can fix him, how we could probably put him on that Four Nations face-off, and how we could put him in that lineup and see what we have in store too. But this will be a game that Travis Konecny will be finally trending up in a positive direction. I really do like to see what TK will do today against the Sabres. I think he'll try to get back on track what he has in store. The other thing I want to keep a close eye on who's trending up is obviously Matvei Michkov becoming a very good poise in that lineup, especially what the Flyers have in store for this upcoming matchup. But maybe this will be a game that Sean Couturier gets trending up in a positive direction. Obviously, giving up a goal, the goal that could have been Michkov's third of the game, but it was instead Couturier getting that second goal instead of one of the goals that Michkov scored. There's a lot to be. I mean, the other thing too, I want to be saying who's trending up. Maybe this will be a day to see what Cam York has in store. Maybe he'll be back in the lineup today and says, "Okay, I got benched twice. Now I need to show what I'm made of." Maybe this will be a good game to get him back on track here today about who's trending up too. And more importantly than anything like that, the other thing that really caught my eye too is the one thing I was really happy to see here. Maybe this will be a game to see Cam York. See what he is made of and see what he finally is made of too. So, but anywho, let's get into our injury report before we get out of here and the starting goaltender matchups and then probably our predictions, because I would like to see the Flyers just tear the lights out of the Sabres. But the injury report, I would expect it's more the same here today. I think it's Garnet Hathaway still day to day with that concussion that he suffered back. Hard to believe a month ago. It's going to be a month ago since that happened. So he's been diagnosed with a concussion and haven't seen him ever since then. The good news is I think he's day to day now, so I'm expecting him to be back very, very soon. Probably we'll see him on Thursday. Oh, not Thursday. So we'll probably see him on Monday as the Nashville Predators come to town to take on the Flyers. That is another game here at South Philadelphia. But the other thing with the injury report here, I've been preaching to this choir for quite some time here now because of Rasmus Ristolainen. It's a day-to-day injury, and it's also he's another former Sabre that was very good for the Sabres in the process, but he's not going to play today, obviously, due to that undisclosed upper body injury. So I'm expecting him to be missing the rest of the season. So I would expect Brad Shaw, maybe a couple of teammates, not a couple of teammates, but a couple of coaches would just say, we're not going anywhere this year. We'll just shut you down until the end of the year. We'll just shut you down and get you ready for training camp next year. So that's something to keep a close eye on too. But it looks to me that's probably why Urson gives up so many goals like he does, is because he's missing the presence of Ruistalainen in the lineup, especially what the defense has done as a whole. It'll be something to keep a close eye on. I think that's the most important thing. But the other thing I'm really concerned about too is that hopefully it's not severe, or hopefully it's not anything that it's right now it's an undisclosed injury, so you don't know what hockey injuries in this day and age, especially. So it will be something to keep a close eye on. So something to keep a close eye on, especially when the season comes to an end, to see like what he has to do for the upcoming season and everything about that included. All right, let's get into our starting goaltender report before we get out of here. So in goal today for the Philadelphia Flyers, I would expect it will be Sam Ersson back in goal today for the Flyers this time around. So the other thing that is really good to see here, that Sam Ersson finally got win number 20 on Thursday night against Montreal. And now he has a record of 20-15-5 this season and has a goals against average of 3.12. And for the Sabres, it will be Ukko Luukkonen. I tried to say that a couple of times before I got on here. I'll say it. So it's Ukko Luukkonen in goal for the Sabres, and he has a 500 record this year. Unlike Sam Ersson, he's also 22-22-4, and has a goals against average of 3.18. So Luukkonen in goal for the Sabres and Ersson in goal for the Flyers. And for my final recap and my final predictions for this game here today. Well, if it's the same game as they did on Thursday night against the Canadiens, maybe they'll be in good company here. They played very well on Thursday night. Obviously, it was a different coach. It was a different scheme. But the difference was, the reason why they played very well is because they played well like they always do. They should have. I mean, the difference is with Tortorella, I think it was just like they would try to play well to competition with the Flyers. But like I said, this was a very good effort by the Flyers on Thursday night. So I expect more of the same here today. They got a couple. I won't say easy wins. Excuse me. I won't say easy wins in the process, because you think about on Thursday night they got the Canadiens and they're they're close to last place in their division and also in the conference. Sabres are just really just bad and just really just trying to do whatever they can to get back on track here. So Mitch Kovsky joins us before we get out of here. What's going on, Mitch? How you doing, buddy? Thanks for chiming in, my friend. Check out Fly Like an Eagle podcast every single Friday night here. And also, like, if you're listening right now, give that like, follow us on Facebook and social media on all your platforms, and also check us out on Hardcore Sports Network for all of that stuff and contact along the way too. But like I said, the predictions in this game here today, this is the Sabres team that you could easily win here today, like you did with Montreal a couple of nights ago. I wouldn't say like a 7-2 kind of feel, but let's just try to figure. I mean, hopefully the Flyers get back on track here today and find out what they look like here in this game. So it'll be something to keep a close eye on as we get closer and closer to puck drop here. All right, that's going to wrap it up here for the Hockey Night Out Broad Flyers pregame show. Thanks, everybody, for chiming in, and thanks, everybody, for watching. I really do appreciate it. But coming up tomorrow, I was talking about some that there's a new post-game show coming up on our sister station, Stream Punk Entertainment. It's I'm tripping on the name here. Sorry about that. It's Belts and Bills Phillies post-game show. So I got to try to figure out how to say that 10 times fast before I go on the air tomorrow. So you got me and Joey Markso, and again, you cover for this Phillies. Again, you cover for the last game of that Phillies National Series. That's I guess it will be right around 3:30, 4 o'clock tomorrow on our sister station, Stream Punk Entertainment. So, talking all things fighting Phil. So it'll be something to keep a close eye on tomorrow. So, but as far as this show is concerned, I will be back again on Monday. I'll be back on Monday. That will be Phillies opening day here in South Philadelphia. That will be the same day the Phillies take on the Rockies. That will be a Monday afternoon. So I got a busy day that day. I got the Phillies in the afternoon, and you got my Flyers post-game show in the process at 6:30 6:30 as well. But yeah, so that will be a 6:30 pregame show and 7 o'clock puck drop right here on Hardcore Sports Network. All right, that's going to do it for here. So thanks for everybody for watching. I really do appreciate it. Enjoy the game, everybody. I'm going to probably watch the rest of this game and get ready for some more Phillies baseball here. And probably watch some other stuff in the process here. Obviously, no show today for Patterson Ave Sports Show. My buddy Joey Marks and my colleague had a family something I had a basically we'll be back next week, so don't worry about that. We'll be back next week, next Thursday, so we'll be back in the saddle next Saturday or so. But I will see you guys back here tomorrow for the post-game show on Stream Punk Entertainment, and I will see you back here on Hardcore Sports Network on Monday night for the Flyers and the Preds. But I'm James Scorza here, and this has been the Hockey Note on Board Flyers pregame show, and I'm James Scorza saying thanks for watching, everybody. Enjoy the game, everybody, and we will see you next time.